They arrived just before sunset. Emma drove, her playlist barely audible over the sound of tires crunching the gravel road. The house stood at the end of Cross Hill Lane, a crooked two-story colonial with chipped paint, boarded windows, and a sagging porch that creaked like it had something to say. It looked like the kind of place horror movies warned you about, and that was exactly why they had picked it. Emma, Ryan, Jake, and Sierra, 4 college friends in desperate need of a weekend escape, had found the listing online. Abandoned fixer-upper, no neighbors for miles, cheap. It was perfect for a short getaway. No rules, no parents, just beer, music, and stories under the stars. A gas station clerk, the only person they spoke to in town, had glanced up when Emma mentioned the address. His face went blank. "That house?" he muttered. "Locals call it the Whisper House. Strange things happen there. Folks don't stay long." He didn't say more. He didn't need to. Naturally, they laughed it off. The first night passed quietly. They explored the dusty rooms, lit a bonfire in the backyard, and told each other ghost stories under the cold night sky. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and something older, like forgotten memories, sealed into the walls. Still, the vibe felt more creepy cool than dangerous. They even joked about recording a fake ghost hunting video. But as the fire died down and they retreated indoors, Sierra paused at the base of the staircase, staring up. "Did you hear that?" she asked. "Hear what?" Jake replied, already halfway up. Sierra shook her head. "Never mind. Probably the wind." She didn't mention the soft hum she thought she heard upstairs, like someone quietly singing to themselves. They all chose rooms and drifted to sleep. Around 3 in the morning, Emma stirred in bed. She wasn't sure what woke her, but the air felt colder than before. She sat up and listened. Nothing. Then came a whisper, faint, delicate. "Emma?" She froze. The voice was so soft it could have been the wind. But it wasn't. It came from the window beside her bed. Slowly, she turned her head, heart pounding. The window was closed. She got up, peeked outside. Just trees. A lot of trees. No movement, no people, just shadows. Emma didn't tell anyone in the morning. She didn't want to be the first to say it out loud. That something about the house didn't feel empty. Not really. By the second night, the house had started to settle into them, or maybe it was the other way around. The novelty had worn off and the rooms felt colder now, like the walls had started listening. They spent the day exploring the surrounding woods, laughing about Emma's ghost voice, though she never mentioned it again. Still, she kept glancing at that same window, as if expecting to see someone looking in. That night, after a few drinks and an argument over who left the front door half open, they all headed to bed earlier than usual. Sierra stayed up reading in the living room, curled under a heavy blanket. The fireplace was dead, and the temperature had dropped sharply. She didn't notice when the clock hit midnight. But she did notice the crying. It was faint at first, soft, muffled, like a child crying behind a closed door. Sierra paused. She turned down the volume on her phone. The sound was still there, unmistakable now and coming from downstairs. But she was on the first floor. She got up, every hair on her arms standing on edge, and walked slowly through the hallway, whispering, "Emma?" No reply. "Ryan, Jake?" Still nothing. The crying stopped. She waited in silence, then laughed nervously to herself and returned to the couch. A moment later, the hallway light flickered once, then twice, then went out completely. Upstairs, Jake was going through a dusty old box he'd found in the attic earlier that day. Most of it was junk, old toys, broken furniture parts. But one thing caught his eye, a small, leather-bound journal with water damage and childish handwriting on the cover. "Abigail," it read. He opened it. The entries were short and scattered, most of them hard to read. But certain phrases stood out. "Papa says I can't go outside anymore. I hear someone whispering from the floor. My secret friend lives in the walls." Jake flipped through faster now, the entries growing more erratic, some pages nearly torn out. "I don't think he likes when I talk to Mama. He says he'll keep me safe. Forever." A loud knock came from downstairs. Jake flinched and snapped the book shut. "Just the wind," he muttered, though it didn't sound like wind. It sounded deliberate. The next morning, the mood had changed. Emma looked pale, barely speaking through breakfast. Ryan joked to lighten the mood, but no one really laughed. Jake showed them the journal, but Sierra waved it off as a prank. Creepy, sure, but that doesn't mean anything. No one admitted they had heard anything strange. No one mentioned the voices. But later that day when Sierra passed the basement door, she could have sworn it was cracked open. They'd locked it, hadn't they? She closed it again, just in case. And for a moment, she thought she heard breathing behind it. By the third day, the air inside the house felt heavier, like something unseen was pressing down on them. Jake couldn't stop thinking about the journal. He read it again that morning, sitting near the kitchen window for sunlight. The name Abigail appeared more and more in frantic loops near the final pages. One line stayed with him. If I stay very quiet, he doesn't come through the walls. Emma walked past him, eyes dull, dragging her fingers across the cracked wood of the wall like she was listening for a heartbeat. Ryan tried to keep the energy light, suggesting a hike into the woods or a drive into town, but no one had the energy. They stayed in. Around noon, Sierra asked about the strange odor in the hallway, something metallic, like rust or old blood. It seemed strongest near the bookshelf in the den. When Ryan moved it, dust poured from behind, and a gust of cold air hit them like a whisper. A small wooden door, no more than 4 feet high, had been concealed behind it. The group stood in silence for a moment, staring at it. That wasn't on the house listing, Jake joked, but no one laughed. The door was old, warped by time, and sealed shut with a rusted latch. Emma stepped forward before anyone could stop her and opened it. A narrow staircase led downward into pitch blackness. A sour, moldy smell rose up to greet them. Ryan grabbed a flashlight and the 4 of them descended slowly, the stairs groaning beneath their weight. The basement wasn't like the rest of the house, it was older, somehow like it had existed longer than the building itself. The walls were stone, rough and wet, with claw-like marks scratched into them. Cobwebs hung thick across the ceiling. In the corner, behind broken crates and a rusted chair, was a child's mattress, small and stained. Beside it sat a decapitated doll and an old metal tin full of crayon drawings each, one more disturbing than the last. One picture showed a girl inside a box. Another showed the house with red eyes staring from every window. "Why would anyone leave this down here?" Sierra whispered. No one answered. Then the flashlight flickered. In that moment of darkness, Jake swore he saw movement in the corner. Something small, hunched and pale. But when the light returned, it was gone. The others said it was just shadows. Still, they all hurried up the stairs, slamming the basement door behind them. Jake relocked it. That night, none of them slept well. Emma sat up for hours, mumbling in her sleep, eyes half open. When Sierra finally drifted off, she dreamed of whispering voices and walls that moved closer every time she blinked. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, something listened. By the 4th night, things had shifted. Subtly at first, small details that didn't make sense. Ryan's phone kept turning off on its own. Sierra's journal moved from her backpack to the kitchen counter, though she swore she hadn't touched it. Emma stopped responding to questions unless they said her name first. Like she was in a trance. The house felt colder, even though the weather outside had warmed. Jake became obsessed with the drawings from the basement. He laid them out across the dining table and tried to decode them. One showed a girl sleeping while something crawled through the walls. Another showed a face split in half, one side smiling, the other screaming. "I think she wasn't alone down there," Jake muttered. "I think something was with her." Ryan had had enough. He brought out his camera gear, he was a film major, and decided to set up a motion-sensitive camera in the basement entrance. "If anything's messing with us," he said, "we'll catch it." That night, they stayed upstairs watching movies to distract themselves. No one dared open the basement door again. But the house didn't need them to. Just after 3 in the morning, the hallway light outside their rooms flickered and buzzed. Emma stood at the end of the hall, her head tilted, whispering something to herself. Sierra called out to her. Emma didn't respond. She just turned and slowly walked back into her room, closing the door behind her without a word. The next morning, Ryan checked the footage. The camera had captured hours of stillness, then movement. A soft click. The basement door slowly creaked open on its own. From the edge of the shadows, something stepped into the frame. It wasn't clear, just a shape. Small, low to the ground, pale. It didn't walk. It crawled. And then suddenly it turned its head toward the camera. 2 hollow eye sockets, no face, no mouth, just knowing. The feed cut to static. "It saw the camera," Jake said quietly. Ryan didn't want to believe it, but his hands shook as he deleted the file. "We need to leave," Sierra said. But Emma just stared at the basement door. "She's not alone anymore," she whispered. "He's awake now." No one asked who he was. They didn't want to know. That evening, Emma didn't come down for dinner. When they checked her room, she was sitting on the floor, drawing on the walls in red crayon. The shapes looked like the ones from the tin. "I just want to be good," she mumbled. "I just want him to stop whispering." From somewhere below, deep beneath the floorboards, they all heard a voice. Not loud, not clear, just one word: closer. The drawings were no longer just pictures. They were instructions. That's what Jake believed anyway. He stayed up most of the night trying to figure them out, tracing lines with his fingers, like they were maps to something hidden deep inside the house. Emma hadn't spoken since the night before. She sat on the hallway floor for hours, staring at the basement door like it would speak again. When Sierra tried to talk to her, she simply shook her head and said, "Too late now. He's already in the walls." No one laughed this time. No one even tried. That morning, they opened the door again. They had to. The smell was stronger now, something foul, like something old had been pulled from the earth and left to rot. They descended the basement stairs slowly, flashlight beams shaking. The temperature dropped with every step, the kind of cold that lives in bones, not skin. In the far corner behind the mattress, they found it. A second door, low and splintered, half covered in mold. It wasn't on any blueprint. Jake pried it open. The room inside was small, barely more than a crawl space. But what was inside made Sierra gasp. A tiny bed frame, a wooden dollhouse, children's books stacked neatly, and scratch marks, dozens of them, on the walls, on the floor, on the ceiling, as if someone, or something, had tried to climb out. In the center, a stuffed rabbit lay torn in half. Ryan whispered, "She lived in here?" But Jake said nothing. He was staring at the wall behind the bed. Someone had written a message, 12 times over and over again. "They forgot me, but I will not forget them." Then suddenly the flashlight flickered, and a sound filled the room, not loud, but clear breathing right next to them. Emma, who hadn't followed them down, was now screaming from the top of the stairs. Her voice echoed through the stone. "He's coming! Don't open your eyes." Jake turned toward the sound, just in time to see something move in the corner. Not a shadow, not a trick. A face pale, empty, watching, and then, the light snapped back on. Silence returned. But something had changed. That room wasn't a hiding place. It was a prison, and now the door was open. By the 6th night, the house no longer felt like a place. It felt like a trap. They tried to leave. They packed their bags, grabbed the car keys, and didn't even bother cleaning up. But when they opened the front door, the world outside looked wrong. The trees were still there, but twisted. The air smelled like burnt wood and metal. And the sky, it was too still. No wind, no sound, no birds. Jake stepped outside first, but after only a few steps, he froze. "The house, it's not letting us leave," he said. Ryan scoffed and kept walking, only to double back, pale and silent. He had walked in a straight line for 5 minutes, and somehow ended up back at the front porch. Sierra panicked. She cried, screamed, threw a rock at one of the upstairs windows and shattered it. But the glass never hit the ground. It vanished midair. That night, they all slept in the living room with the lights on. Emma didn't speak anymore. She just rocked gently in a chair near the fireplace, whispering to something only she could see. Her eyes never blinked. Her lips moved constantly. "He's in the house now. Not just the basement. He's everywhere." Around 3 in the morning, the power flickered out. Total darkness swallowed them. Ryan lit a candle, and in that brief orange glow, they saw footprints. Wet, bare, small, leading from the hallway to the center of the room. Jake grabbed his camera and turned it on. Static, then a single frame. The dollhouse, but something was inside it, something moving. The camera clicked and died. Then footsteps from above, slow, deliberate, but no one was upstairs. The sound moved across the ceiling, then stopped directly above them. Sierra whispered, "He's walking through the walls." They held their breath. Then Emma stood up. Her face was blank. Her voice was wrong, like it wasn't her speaking. "He wants one of us to stay," she said. "One must stay and listen." Her eyes rolled back. She collapsed. Jake ran to her, but before he reached her, every door in the house slammed shut. The basement door creaked open on its own. Cold air swept in like a wave. Ryan grabbed the front door handle and pulled. locked. The house had decided, and it didn't want to let go. Sierra was the last one awake. She sat alone in the corner of the living room, knees to her chest, watching the flicker of candlelight stretch across the walls like reaching fingers. Emma hadn't woken up since she collapsed. Ryan wouldn't stop pacing, muttering to himself, repeating the same words, "It's watching. It's watching. It's watching." Jake hadn't come back from the basement. He had said he just needed to see one thing, just one more clue from the drawings. But that was hours ago. No one wanted to follow him. No one could. The house made sure of it. The whispers were louder now. They came from every direction, above, below, inside the walls, sometimes right behind your ear. And they were no longer asking. They were demanding. Sierra held onto the journal, flipping back to the first page. Abigail's handwriting was shaky, childish, scared. It read, "If you hear the whisper, it's already too late." Sierra stood up, clutching the book like it meant something, like it could stop what was coming. She opened the basement door. The cold rolled up the stairs like fog. Ryan begged her not to go, but she had to. Someone had to bring Jake back. But the basement was different now. It was deeper. The stairs were longer. The air was thicker, almost alive. She called out Jake's name once, twice, no answer. Only the sound of dripping water and breathing. Then she saw him, sitting in the center of the crawl space, staring at the wall, completely still. "Jake?" she whispered. He turned. His eyes were gone. Just hollow sockets, black and endless. He smiled and said in a voice not his own, "She showed me everything." Sierra ran. She didn't look back. She didn't stop until she hit the front door and it opened. Just like that. As if the house had let her go on purpose. As if it wanted her to carry something with her. She never looked back. She never returned. But even now, years later, she still hears Jake's voice when it's quiet. Especially at night. Especially when the house is dark. He whispers to her just like Abigail did. And sometimes, she whispers back, "If you're still listening, take this as a warning. There are places in this world that remember, and once they remember you, they never forget." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who dares to listen in the dark. Because the whispers, they're